Hey guys, welcome to Ingo's Restoration. Today we're going to be changing the heater blower motor on my wife's E28. It's a 1987 528E. So we're going to be changing out the motor. It's no longer working. So what you're going to have to do here is you're going to need to remove this piece right here. The motor is actually right here in the middle. There are 8 screws, 8mm. So you have 2 on this side, there's 2 in the middle, and there's 2 on the opposite side over there. I'm going to be doing something else while I'm here. These hoses right here are fuel lines. So what they're doing is passing the fuel through the back here, through these metal lines, coming through here and going to where the AC is. That way, so in the summertime, I'm assuming they're using that to avoid like vapor lock by cooling a little bit the fuel before it gets to the rack. I believe that's what they're using that for. I'm not quite sure, but I'm assuming. So these lines have never been changed. So since I'm going to take this off, I'm going to take this piece off here, I'm going to go ahead and change. There's 2 lines here and there's 2 lines on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them and replace them. You can see they're original. They still have the original clamps on them, so I'll be replacing these clamps with just normal style clamps. So first thing you need to do is take off those screws, and then I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these lines here. Be careful because they could be under pressure, especially if you've just driven the vehicle. So be cautious with that. And you're going to need to lift up the rubber here so that this will come out. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that, and I'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, so we've got this piece out. This is the front part that you would normally see, and this is how it looks in the back. So you can see the two running fuel lines going to where it gets cooled off and then it comes back. This one has one here broken, but not too bad. On my son's E28, it was also, a couple of them were also broken. These are all just little clips, plastic clips. I did notice that there is foam back here, so I think I have some foam. I'm going to try to put I have some foam for the house. I'm going to try to put some of those on there. And so it kind of seal it back up. You can see back over there in the corner, right there, there was some foam there too. So here's the motor sitting right here. Got this clip right here that needs to be taken off, and I'll see what else needs to be done so you can go ahead and get this out of here. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. Alright guys, we've got the motor out of the car, and here is these wires right here connect to the motor. They're tucked in right underneath here. So once you what I ended up doing was with the plastic cover that are here and here, the big ones, I pulled them off and got them out, finagled them out a little bit, and then once I got them out, took this clip out and obviously you got to disconnect these. You can turn the motor, kind of turn it, and get to where these are at and slide it on out. It's not too bad. A little bit of just kind of figuring out how to get it out of there, but it is definitely quite doable. Definitely glad that I took off this front piece. I think it makes it a lot easier. Plus, that way I can fix some of the stuff that needs to be fixed on here. Try to clean it all out. I've already vacuumed it out. It was a lot of leaves and junk and garbage. Try to blow out the rest and get it cleaned up. And then so let me show you the motor real quick. So I bought the actual, just the motor. You can buy the whole assembly with the fan blades on it. It's like 300 and change, I think. And this Bosch motor, which is the original motor, it's I think about 165, so considerably cheaper. Hey guys, wanted to show you how I did the wheel. So I swapped the wheel from the old motor onto the new one, and what I ended up doing was you put a vice grip on here and just grab the wheel and spin it and just move it back and forth. It takes some time. Keep moving it back and forth until you get it off the shaft. It does take a little bit of effort and some time, but you're saving quite a bit of money if you're willing to do that. If not, you could just buy the whole assembly. And then to put it back on, what I did was I measured the distance between here and where the rust was ending, and then I marked it with a marker, and then just put a little bit of soapy water on this section right here, and did the same thing and put a vice grip on this section here. Not on the section you're going to be obviously putting the fan on, but on the other section, and then just held it and just worked it back and forth until I got it in. It took also a little bit of time, but it does go in. So that's how I did that. So as soon as I get this back on here, what I'm going to do is I've cleaned out the whole section in here is all cleaned out, washed it up and cleaned it out. Used the vacuum cleaner, got all the leaves and junk out of it. Once I get the wheels back on there, I'll put it back in here and just turn it by hand, set it back into it properly and turn it by hand and make sure it's not hitting anything. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the motor back in and disconnect the power to the fuel pumps, so we don't get anything. And then I'll turn the key on and test out the fan before I button everything up, just to make sure everything's working. I want to do that before I put that piece on there and the new hoses. But obviously, if you're going to do that, you're going to want to take out the fuse and maybe even the relay for the fuel pumps, so you don't turn them on, because when you turn that key switch on, the fuel pumps will activate and build up pressure. So you want to make sure you do that. So let me go ahead and get this wheel back on here and get it in there, and we'll test it out. Well, I got a little bit of a surprise. I mounted the motor in there and turned it on. The first 2 speeds were okay. When I put it on the 3rd speed, the high speed, started hearing a noise. So when I took it out, came and take a look at it, and apparently this must have broke at some point in time. I didn't notice it. So what I think I'm going to try to do as a temporary fix is I've got some epoxy. I'll put some epoxy on here, so at least we have something to work with. It's still cold here, and I would like my wife to have some heat. So I think I'll try that and see how that works, and then maybe I'll try on eBay to see if I can find a motor. Even if the motor is bad, I don't think you can find these scroll cages anywhere. At least not. I haven't looked 100%, but I don't think you can find them. So I'll try to see if I can get a motor. Maybe it's just the cages are okay, but the motor's not any good. But let me go ahead and see if I can epoxy this, and then we'll put it back together. Alright guys, got the scroll cages epoxied, and there was a few areas there that needed it, so they're put together and drying up right now. They should be pretty solid, but give it a few more minutes. So what I'm going to do is I've got the motor in there, and everything buttoned up. It's all connected. I think I'll give it one more test just to make sure everything is fine before I put the divider there back on there. And so let me go ahead and get that done, and then I'll let you know how that went, and we'll go from there. So guys, as I was telling you before, I took off the fuse right here for the fuel pump. Got the key on number 2 position, and the motor is working. It's looking fine. After I epoxied those scroll cages, I don't hear any noise. It seems to be blowing out really good air. So I may not be in as much of a rush to go ahead and find another scroll cage, but I'll keep an eye on it for sure. So now we're going to go ahead and put the divider on and button it up.